Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I am doing a much requested video all about apple perfumes. So that's red apple, green apple and everything in between. I'm including all apples here. If you're new here, then welcome to my channel. It's all about perfumes. I have hundreds of other perfume videos, so many note videos like this, ranges, everything, so do check them all out. Leave your requests down below in the comments for other videos I can do. I do read all your comments, and if you are a regular here but you haven't subscribed yet, then hit that subscribe button and show your support. As always guys, I'll leave the links down below to where you can buy these in the US and Europe. So apple, of course, is a very fresh, zesty smell, somewhere in between a citrus and a fruity smell, I'd say, and often combined with citrus notes. Especially the green apple is very, almost sour, isn't it? And very fresh, so usually in a spring summer type perfume. And red apple just a little bit warmer. So of course, and probably really obvious, the most famous apple perfume is DKNY's Be Delicious. Now this is a perfume that I have never really felt like I wanted to buy. I do really like it, I find it very fresh, but I find in general they're not amazing for lasting. So if you do love apple scents, then I would recommend checking out my video on the whole range of Be Delicious perfumes. There's like so many, I think over 20 I think, because they do have red apple ones, they have golden delicious, they have sweet apple ones, they have floral apple ones, they have basically every apple one you can think of, but the iconic one is that original Be Delicious that looks like an apple, it smells like an apple. It also has cucumber in, which really again is very fresh smell, isn't it? So one for apple fans, but not something that's going to last amazingly well, I'm afraid. A recent purchase of mine that you might have seen in my recent haul video is Juice Couture's Malibu. Now this does have a lot of apple in, and this is like more affordable than the Be Delicious range, but it has a very similar smell to it. This has some other fruity notes in here like passion fruit, but it does have that very fresh, zesty holiday feel of a green apple. So something to consider if you're looking for something just light, fresh, green apple, fruity freshness. Has some tropical floral notes in here as well, and just a really affordable holiday fragrance. I think this was like £15. One that I recently tried, I just did a video on this Floral Street, the Neon Rose ones. This is the pink one in the collection. This is a bit of a niche brand, but it is sold in Sephora in America and here in the UK and lots of places. This one is apple blossom and apple, as well as a bit of the rose, and that's really nice. I love apple blossom. It smells kind of like apple, but obviously it's a little bit delicate and floral. And Neon Rose, I think I said it was my second favorite from the range here, and I definitely wear it. Really pretty, delicate, feminine smell. So if you like apple but you don't want it to be really like sharp, you want it to be more like an apple blossom, very pretty, delicate, then I definitely recommend that one. If you do like your fruity perfumes, then a cherry and apple perfume, of course cherry and apple go really well together, they're often in desserts and things together, is Le Petit Robe Noir Eau de Toilette. So these are all mainly cherry perfumes, Le Petit Robe Noir, but in the Eau de Toilette they've put apple in, and the main notes are cherry and apple. So fruity, zesty, fresh, but then in the dry down you really do get the cherry. Another really popular Granny Smith apple, green apple smell, which you might not realize, is Dolce & Gabbana's Light Blue. Now this obviously has a lemony citrus note in it, which most people think is what's giving it that sharp, fresh summer smell, but actually there's just as much green apple as there is lemon in here. So this is lemon and apple mixed together to give a very fresh note. The thing is with Light Blue is that it doesn't last because it is so light. It's aquatic, oceanic with these citrus and apple notes, and it doesn't last that well. If you want it to last better, then get the intense version, which is much better for lasting. A perfume that I used to own, Love a Dose, brought out an eau de toilette version, and this was a really nice red apple. So this had some powdery notes, like musky notes in there as well, but it's one of the few perfumes that really has red apple as like the star of the show, like the main notes, and really different to Lovatos Eau de Parfum, which is like a licorice, quite heavy. This is that warm, sweet, fresh red apple. So if you do love your red apples, then this is a bit of a sort of secret red apple one that no one really seems to talk about. Another one that isn't that well known is Lanvin's Modern Princess. This is a red apple perfume and it has berries in and peony, so it definitely is a princess smell. It's delicate and young. It's that sweet, innocent sort of Cinderella, Snow White type smell. Red apple mixing with the berries brings out the fruitiness of the apple. So quite sweet and innocent, but fruity overall, but still quite delicate with peony, very fresh. It's not overly sweet and it's not got vanilla in or anything like that, so it's more fruity sweet. One that you might not realise has apple in is Hugo Boss Orange. So you would presume that the fruity note in here is orange. It actually doesn't have any orange in. It has orange blossom, but the fruity note is red apple. So this is a mixed with vanilla to make a very warm, like a candied apple smell. So if you like your candied apples in sort of Halloween or bonfire night here in the UK, then this is that warm smell. And this one, particularly the Eau de Parfum, are really good for lasting, considering the price. Like, you'd probably only need to top up once a day. I have smelt this on people and asked them what they're wearing, so it does have that projection, and I think it's a really nice way. The vanilla and the apple just work so well together to create a warm, sweet smell. Kind of the Eau de Parfum, I'd say, is kind of autumnal apple, and then the Eau de Toilette is more like fresh spring summer apple. Christina Aguilera has got on board with the apple trend in her Red Sin perfume. Now this to me smells like Christmas because it's cinnamon apple. I know in America cinnamon is used a lot. I think it's naturally grown there, but in the UK cinnamon only really comes out at Christmas time, so that's why it reminds me of that. But if you love those cinnamon smells, it really is like an apple cinnamon dessert, apple cinnamon donut, or whatever it is you have apple and cinnamon on, and that really is what this smells like. Mademoiselle Rocha's original Eau de Parfum. You guys know I have Mademoiselle Rocha's Couture. This is the one that predated it, the original Eau de Parfum. This is blackcurrant and red apple, so really like this. I do probably like it just as much as the Couture one, to be honest, so probably one I'll end up buying as well. But this is again like fruity, fun, has some rose in underneath to make it very feminine, but you really get the red apple and then you get that blackcurrant coming through. So again, it's another fruity, warm one, but very feminine, very pretty. You can tell by the bottle this is aimed at a sort of pretty girl type fragrance, so really nice and really affordable, actually, not that well known. Hermes have a very green apple scent, even though it's actually red apple in it, in their Garden sur la Toit. I think it means a garden on the roof. This is red apple with a grassy note, so it gives it that green, outdoors, freshly mown grass smell, and then you've got this red apple making it fruity. It also has pear in, which adds to the fruitiness, and then it has a rose that comes through after a while. But this is a very elegant smell, very classy smell. If you like your fruity notes, but you don't want it to smell like a stereotypical fruity smell, like a candy or like a fruit punch, you want it to be more sophisticated and green, then Hermes has done that really well, making this that freshly mown grass, freshly bitten apple smell. Givenchy in their Eau de Mademoiselle, in their rose version, Rose à la Folie, actually has red apple as the main note, and the rose is not as strong as the red apple, so it really should be called à la red apple, but I guess that doesn't sound as cool. So this is a light, fresh, appley scent, kind of like a blossomy rose with the apple, so the kind of thing you would spray probably quite a lot of. It is an eau de toilette, so you probably want to be spraying quite a lot here. Comes in a very classic traditional Givenchy bottle, and again something that not many people have. It's probably being discontinued, already has been, but still is available, and I'll leave the links down below, but one to probably get before it goes if you like your classic Givenchy in that delicate rosy apple. Zara have quite a few perfumes where they use apple. They brought out one called Apple Juice, which is green in colour and is apple and lemon. So a little bit Dolce & Gabbana light blue here. A bit of a, not a dupe, but an alternative to Dolce & Gabbana light blue, but obviously much more affordable. So this is fresh, citrusy, zesty. It doesn't smell like apple juice, it smells like a zesty apple. Then they also have Red Mine, which I find an odd name. And this is green apple, not red apple. But this has geranium vetiver, so it's a very green way of getting apple. And then they have Twilight Mauve Summer, which is tea and apple. So this is kind of like an apple tea smell. You know, you can get those herbal teas that are appley. It's kind of like that. You may remember this perfume from the 90s, or I think it's the 90s or the early 2000s, Ralph by Ralph Lauren. This was one of my first perfumes. This is a very simple, fresh green apple smell, very, very innocent, and just whenever I smell it, just takes me back to my childhood. And the same can be said for Nina by Nina Ricci. Of course, this looks like an apple. Loads of the ones in the Nina range smell like apple and have a lot of apple in, so I'm not going to go through them all, and I have done a video on all of them as well, which I'll leave linked. But again, they've mixed citrus, lemon, bergamot with the apple, so this comes across like a fresh green apple, but it also has praline in. So this one is a warm, slightly sweet smell. Some of the other ones are less sweet and more fresh appley, but they all seem to have, or most of them have, this very appley note in them, because of course when you look at it, it looks like an apple, so you're already kind of smelling apples in your mind anyway before you've sprayed it. For something very fresh, for people who are quite sporty, I'd say the Lacoste Red fragrance was really, really apple, and then it had some sort of cedary, green, patchouli notes underneath. So not a unisex smell, but quite neutral. You know, there's no floral notes in here. It's not overly fruity, it's certainly not sweet. It's like that fresh, cedary apple. Victoria's Secret use apple sometimes. Temptation springs to mind as an appley one. That's probably the most appley, with apple blossom and green apple in. But also Bombshell in Bloom. This is a red apple with some floral notes underneath, but it's more red apple than it is flowery, so it should be called Bombshell in Apple, not in Bloom. And this is that red apple, so very fruity, and then some pretty white floral notes underneath. They also have Frosted Apple, which I guess is like a winter apple. It's basically a sugary apple smell. Their Oh So Sexy, again, is a sugary milky apple. And then lastly, I wanted to throw in that Be Layered do have a green apple scent, so you could get this and layer it on top of other perfumes to add an apple note to it. I haven't tried this one, it wasn't in the package that I got from Be Layered, but it does sound really nice. And sometimes the Body Shop seem to come out with apple ones, though I've looked online, it doesn't look like they're doing it at the moment. So that's my rundown of apple fragrances. I'm sure there's loads of others I could have included, so let me know which one is your favourite or any others you'd want to add in the comments down below. Links will be down below to where you can buy all these, and if you found the video useful, helpful, interesting, whatever, then do give it that thumbs up. But that's it guys, so thank you so much for watching as always, and I'll see you again in the next video. Bye!